Hi and welcome to this little walkthrough. During the next minutes, we'll create a simple flower and bring that from Xfrog 3.5 into Terragen 2. If you want to use the same ruler that I'm using during this tutorial, just open the file, Start, and here we go. I'm using this ruler just to be sure that the plants that I create come to Terragen at the correct height and width, or mainly the height is what matters. So this is the ruler object. For now we can hide it, and later on we'll use it to scale our plant. We start this little flower with a tree component. So drag the tree component to the window, left click and rename to stalk. Go to the primitive tab, increase the number of points so that the profile looks a little bit smoother. I'm zooming out right now. I'm doing this with help of left and right mouse button. Click into the view and drag. If you want to rotate, just left click into the 3D view and drag the mouse, and with the right mouse button you can pan around. So here we have the stalk. I think the stalk is a little bit thick, so go to the tree tab, go for shape. You can click edit to bring up the bigger window and drag the control points down. This one up. Probably still a little bit thick. Something like this. We can fine tune this later on if we need to. Then turn off the top. We don't need it in this case. Now drag a simple component on top of the stalk, activate it, rename it to Blossom. This will carry our complete Blossom object later on. Click the arrow between stalk and Blossom and be sure that it's set to simple. If it's set to multiple, it would be multiplied along the stalk. If it's set to simple, this object will appear on top of the stalk only. Now drag another simple component, this time onto the Blossom object, rename it to Center. Go to the Primitive tab and switch the primitive type to Sphere, for example. You'll see that we have a sphere object on top. This will serve as a center object. I'll increase the resolution. Go to the Material tab, Set Texture, Browse, and use the center bitmap. You can see that we have distortions on top of our sphere object, so I'll simply rotate this object. Now it's looking much better, and then I'm tiling the texture. By default we are using scale U and V set to 1. If we want to repeat the texture several times, we have to reduce this value. I'm halving this value, so the texture is repeated 2 times. Probably right here even more often. I think this looks okay. And now we'll simply scale this a little bit down. So choose Scale Z on the Basic tab and reduce that value to 0.3 or probably 0.4, something like that. It's up to you. So now we have the center of our blossom. Now I'd like to create a calyx, some sort of calyx. To do that, I'll make use of a patch object to deform the calyx. And again, I'm using a simple object, dragging it on the hyper patch. Select the simple, rename it to calyx. Increase or set the primitive type to square. You can see the square right here. If you turn on shading wireframe, you can see the wireframe by the way. Now I'm increasing the resolution so that we can probably deform this square object with help of the hyper patch. And then, well, rescale it to, let's say, 1.7. If you turn on log scale, you just have to type this value into one of those scale options. The others will change accordingly. Good. Now go to the Material tab, Set Texture, Browse, and choose Calyx. Here you go. And now we'll make use of the Hyper Patch to deform this one. Choose View Z. Now we are looking on this patch from above. Click Shift or press Shift, left click and drag to select those those points in the middle. Then switch to one of the side perspectives. Again, press Shift, click on one of those selected points and drag them downwards. And you'll see that the mesh right here will be deformed. So now we have some sort of bowl or cup, which is exactly what I want. Click OK. And I'll turn the wireframe off. So now we have the center. We have a calyx. Now we need the petals. I'll use a feeball as multiplying object. And I'll use a leaf component for the petals. So this is what we get by default. Select the feeball, reduce the number to about 20. Then adjust the fan to something like that. I think that's okay. Probably a little bit closer. The fan is more or less the opening angle. So if we have it set to 0 and 3.15, it's a complete ball. And now we can limit this to certain areas of the sphere. And I'm using 1.115 right here and something like 1.45. Then we need to move this object a little bit downwards. So go to the Basic tab of the feeball, enter -0.1 for translation Z, and you can see that the petals have been moved downwards. And now they are sitting in between the center object and the calyx. Now select the leaf object, rename it to petal. On the leaf tab, change the length to about 2. We are changing the shape from range to spline. Click Edit Shape, and now we can use control points. We have to create a rectangular shape because the actual outline is created by the bitmap texture. The bitmap texture contains an alpha channel. Probably we are using some more points to get a smoother shape later on. Probably we can increase scale X a little bit. Good. Now go for Material, Set Texture, Browse, Petal. Okay, this looks strange, and this is because scale V and the number of segments don't fit together. Here we have a segment count of 8, so we need to change scale V to 8. And now the texture will fit exactly on the geometry of the leaf. Now I'll go for the profile. You find it on the primitive tab of the petal or of the leaf. I'm using a V-like shape. So now those petals have a slight profile. you'll notice that we have some strange geometry right here. This is because the petals try to connect to the stalk. We can avoid this when going to the Primitive tab. You'll find an option called Separator. Simply turn this one on and this geometry disappears. Now go to the leaf settings. I'm using gravitropism to make those petals hang downwards just a little bit, not too much. Something like this. I like that actually. And now select the feeball, go to the feeball settings. We'll have to slightly reduce the feeball radius. I'm working a little bit on the fan, bringing up the pedal slightly. Good. And now we can, well, use an equation to get a little bit random appearance of our pedals. You can see here we have scale. Scale is used to control the scale of our pedals. Set this one to custom, enter 1. This would simply, well, have no effect. It's the original size of our pedals. But now we are adding plus RND, which stands for random. Then put X into the bracket, 1 plus RND of X. And now we can use the sliders to add a random scale to our pedals. So now you can see that the pedals are scaled differently. So that's actually a pretty nice result. We can select the blossom. I think I'll probably scale up the complete blossom a little bit, just slightly. So that's okay. Now we'll apply a texture to the stalk object. So select the stalk, material, set texture, browse and choose the stalk texture. Here we go. I'll increase scale V so that this texture isn't tiled as often as right now. Good. And now, of course, this stalk is very, very straight. There are different possibilities to change this. For example, we simply could rotate this complete stalk a little bit, something like this, and then probably use gravitation at the base to bend the stalk upwards and downwards. Upwards, we want to make the head look a little bit downwards, and now use phototropism to make it bend upwards at the base, something like this. That's one option. Another option would be to choose spline, and then you can use a spline curve to edit the path of this stalk object. Now we add another feeball to the root object. By the way, everything which is child object of the root will be visible and generated. If you move it away from the root camera object, it's not generated anymore. Good. Our feeball, we add a leaf component to this feeball. Again, I'm reducing the number, the radius, I'm adjusting the fan, and now our leaves are of course way too small. So select the leaf, go for basic log scale and increase the scale to, well, about 15 in this case. I think that's okay. Or I'm going for 10 and instead make the leaves a little bit longer. Something like that. I'm using gravitropism to make the leaves bend downwards. I'm going to the primitive tab again, turn on separator just to be safe. In this case it wouldn't make a difference. Then I'll activate the profile and again use a V-like shape. That's probably too much, but we can change that later on. Go for the leaf settings, shape, spline, edit. Use a rectangular shape. Again, I'm using some more control points. And now we can apply a material. So set texture, choose the leaf texture, be sure to adjust the scale V. And we have our leaves right here. Actually, we could use the same method to bring some more random appearance just by selecting the V-ball, going for scale, typing 1 plus R&D. So now the leaves are slightly different. So that's our simple flower that we want to bring to Terragen. To be able to easily scale this flower, I'll simply use a simple component. We can group it to make the hierarchy lighter. Then select the ruler, unhide the ruler, and you'll notice well, that our ruler is actually pretty small compared to our flower. Keep in mind this ruler has a size of 1 meter or a height of 1 meter. So select the flower and scale it down with the basic settings. So that's much better. Now hide the ruler again so that we don't well, export the ruler together with the flower. We only need the flower. And I'll save that one as step final. So here we go with our flower. And now simply choose File, Export, Wavefront OBJ, create MTL file should be active, export, and I'll export this one as flower OBJ. So that's the work that we have to do inside Xfrog. So here we are in Terragen. Switch to the Objects tab, choose Add Object, Object OBJ Reader. Then we'll go to the OBJ file. You will get this dialog because this object is from Xfrog and because we used the correct scale. I'm using yes. So now we have our flower OBJ object. If you take a look at the internal network, you can do this by right-clicking. You'll see that we have materials for leaf, stalk, center, calyx, and petal. And we also should have a very, very tiny object right here. Tiny because it's just a few centimeters in scale. So that's the correct scale if you're working in real units. But for adjusting materials and probably some other parameters, it's easier to scale this object slightly up. So I'll simply rescale it, well, to factor 100. Doesn't matter, just so that we can see this object directly. Now double click the leaf material. You can see we have the color image inside the color slot. We should increase translucency because the leaves are translucent. We can go for opacity. In case nothing shows up here, just copy the bitmap from color to opacity and choose use alpha channel. You can take a look at specular. Those leaves of the flower we are doing right here aren't really reflective, so black is a good choice. Take a look at the stalk. If everything is okay right here, we don't need opacity in this case. Center is also okay. Calyx needs opacity, so in case we don't have it right here, copy the calyx bitmap from color to opacity, use alpha channel, and then the petal, copy the bitmap, paste the bitmap, choose alpha channel. And for sure our petals are translucent, so I'm increasing this value right here. So now we can close this one and just do a quick test render. So here we can see the flower is appearing and everything seems to look fine. So here we are looking at the flower from behind. Now I'll just choose a different angle. Good. So the only thing that is left to do, again, scale the object to its original size. Then right click, choose Save Object File and save it as flower TGO. So that's it. From now on you can read the object with a TGO reader and shaders are already set up correct, or you can use it inside a population. So here we have now many of those flowers. Thanks for watching.